So I'd like to welcome everyone. This is a huge group. This is really exciting. We are going to be discussing some great gut health topics. I am a registered dietitian with Food Smart with a background in maternal and infant nutrition, diabetes, lactation, and mindful and intuitive eating. But before we get into the main topic of discussion, we're just going to quickly introduce Food Smart for those of you who may be new to us. And this webinar safe. I'm getting over a sickness, so I apologize if I misspeak sometimes. Is being recorded, and you'll get an email early next week with a link to stream anytime in case you have to hop off for part of it or anything like that, or want to show all your friends. So Food Smart basically makes eating well simple. We do that through personalized nutrition. We honestly believe that food is a powerful tool in creating a healthy life, and we want to make it easy for you to make choices that'll support your health goals. I know that's true when I work with my patients. I am a Food Smart dietitian. I work with patients daily on the days that I work. So, and we do this through one-on-one visits with registered dietitians or RDs like myself. We basically give you a personalized plan, or you can use us for accountability. And basically anything we do is custom tailored because it's one-on-one work. We talk about your medical and family history, food preferences, cooking abilities, food budget, and everything to give you nutrition care that will actually work for you. And we also set you up, you can see on the screen here, with the Food Smart app. It has tons and tons and tons of recipes, a customizable meal planner, in-app grocery shopping, and lots of things that'll really help make eating well easy on your mind and wallet. And we actually have a super exciting promotion for those of you on the webinar today. Anyone that schedules a visit with one of us by midnight. Oh, there are some people who do know Auburn. Hi, everyone. Anyways, so anyone who schedules a visit by midnight tonight using the code GUTHEALTH, all one word, GUTHEALTH, they will be entered to win a $250 Walmart gift card, and the winner will be chosen and notified tomorrow. So schedule an appointment with one of us by midnight using the code GUTHEALTH. You'll be entered to win a $250 Walmart gift card. If you don't win that, even if you use the code, you'll get a $15 Walmart gift card after your first visit with one of us. So the link will be dropped in the chat, or you can go to foodsmart.com/schedule to sign up. And if you have any questions about scheduling or any logistics like that, put that in the chat and we'll be happy to help. I will ask you to save your gut health questions. I see a couple of them have already come through, but I will ask you to save those toward the end so I'm able to see them. We have a lot of participants today. I'm going to be giving my presentation, and I want to make sure I address the questions that I can. Given our large group, we may not be able to get to all questions. And also this webinar is probably not going to address every single gut health topic. There's a lot to it. We're trying to give a good overview, some holiday focused stuff. We'll answer some questions, and whatever other questions you have, come and see one of us. All right. So what we're going to cover today is, why is gut health important? Why is that even a thing? Why is that the new buzzword? What are some common trigger foods you might see around the holidays and their easy substitutions? Top tips for keeping a healthy gut. And then we're going to be doing our Q&A. So first off, we have a poll. What is your number one triggering food during the holidays? And we have sugary drinks, Brussels sprouts, cheese, gluten, or pretty much everything. So we're gonna wait for some results to come in for a few seconds. I'll give it about up to a minute and see what we've got. So it looks like cheese is winning. I could totally see that. That might be my answer too. And remember, Brussels sprouts, as a dietitian, I'll throw in any of those kind of sulfury foods too, could count toward that. They can be very gas producing. Wow, it looks like, cheese, gluten, and everything are all neck and neck. Oh, and sugary drinks. Okay. Oh, maybe not everything. Okay, cheese is definitely our winner. It looks like that is and then some people have more than one, which is true too. Awesome. Well, thanks for responding to that, guys. I'll leave it up for a few more seconds. We'll see. And but I'll move on to the next slide. Okay. So why is gut health important? All right. And so our final results are cheese. Cheese is the winner, and gluten. And then we have everything else kind of came in second. Not many people are bothered by broccoli and Brussels sprouts. You have to eat those to be bothered by them. So, so anyway, so what are some of we'll cover some of the most common digestive disorders. Oh, sorry, the poll keeps popping up. And the symptoms that most of us face. So what is gut health? This really comes down to our microbiome. You've probably heard a lot about it, probiotics, prebiotics, all of this. What is the microbiome? What it is, it's a really vast network of microbes or bacteria, but also includes other types of microbes like yeast and things like that. They live in our intestines. The good ones, the good guys, they help keep our digestive tract and nutrient absorption top shape. Okay, they help us with the digestive process. When our gut is populated with less beneficial microbes, this can lead to a lot of those IBS, irritable bowel syndrome type symptoms we'll discuss. And they've actually been linked to the development of chronic conditions. Research is really still in its infancy. There's a lot we don't know. So anyone claiming to have the absolute cure for something in this regard probably isn't being fully honest. Okay. So here are some of our most common digestive disorders. An estimated 60 to 70 million Americans are suffering from at least one GI disorder. That's a lot of people, and evidenced by how many people are here today. A lot of people are kind of dealing with this stuff. I know I do. It can really wreak havoc on our lives. It can cause some people even to miss work or school or have to opt out of events. It can really take its toll on people. Some of the more common ones are Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis. These fall under the umbrella of irritable bowel disease. So not IBS, this is IBD. They have similar symptoms, but they are different diseases. Essentially, they cause really significant diarrhea, low weight gain, and intolerance to a lot of foods. They can be really debilitating diseases. Celiac disease, I personally have that one myself, but that is actually an autoimmune disease. It's not an allergy, although we like to say allergy a lot because it gets the point across when we're ordering food in restaurants and such. But essentially, when you eat gluten, this sets off an immune cascade that damages the small intestine's lining and can actually prevent absorption of some nutrients, have increased risks of a small bowel cancer, things like that. A lot of people who come to me with digestive complaints, I sometimes have them at least get the blood work done for celiac disease, especially if it's suspected, because it once you're diagnosed, that's kind of an easy fix, so to speak. Then we have this big disease or big condition of irritable bowel syndrome. It's a chronic disorder. It's affecting the large intestine, so the end of our digestive tract. It doesn't cause permanent damage like Crohn's and ulcerative colitis, but it can be, again, very debilitating for some people. Then we have GERD, or gastroesophageal reflux disease. This is where the stomach acid is kind of damaging the lining of the esophagus, and it can cause painful heartburn, and some other effects more in the upper GI tract as opposed to the lower GI tract, where we'd see constipation and diarrhea and things like that. So some of the more common digestive symptoms, as I mentioned, bloating and distension is extremely common. Nausea, heartburn or indigestion, constipation or diarrhea. You might have seen IBS-C and IBS-D. IBS constipation dominant and IBS diarrhea dominant, but some people can flip back and forth on their situation. Cramping can be a big one, gas cramps, things like that. Gas in general can be very socially embarrassing and things like that. It's not fun. And headaches and migraines can actually come along with this too, which is really interesting. And that goes into the gut-brain connection. Our guts and our brains are connected. We actually almost have a brain in our gut, which is so interesting to me. They can impact each other. Your gut health can impact your brain health and vice versa. So things like brain fog, stress, fatigue, memory loss, headaches, difficulty concentrating, those can all be as a result of what's going on in our gut, but also vice versa. If we're super stressed or nervous or have a lot of anxiety, those can result in digestive complaints. And I've seen this happen countless times. And then you have factor in other things like your diet, medications, and health conditions. That can all affect your gut functioning, which then in turn can affect your brain functioning or your mental health. So there's a lot to this puzzle. And so what do we do about it? Given that we don't have a lot of research, or as much as we'd like to get definitive answers, what do we do with that? So we're going to do the best we can is what we're going to do. Is first, we're going to talk about some common holiday trigger foods. One of the big ones, and you see it everywhere in the holidays, is low fiber and ultra processed foods. Okay, so these are things that are packaged, salty, greasy, things that are not homemade. Okay, what these do, they feed the bad gut bacteria. The bad guys love this stuff and they'll eat it right up. And then they get to grow and proliferate. Whereas the good guys are like, hey, why aren't you feeding me? I guess we're not going to have babies and we're just going to die off. The high sodium content alone can lead to water retention and bloating. And these low fiber, high carb foods can make you feel lethargic. They give you a blood sugar spike and then you come crashing down. So what are some examples of some of these foods? Well, things like crackers and chips and stuff like that. Stuffing and mashed potatoes, although I may not 100% put mashed potatoes in there. Again, if they're the box mashed potatoes, yeah. If they're a real potato, maybe even with some skin in there, that's a little bit better. Things like mac and cheese, processed meats would all count in this category. So what we want to focus on, the alternatives, we want to put all those veggies on our plates. We want to have that half plate veggies. We want to have desserts with some fruit in them. Okay. Now you want to eat your favorite pumpkin pie or whatever the case is, great, eat it. But maybe we balance it out with some fruit if you tend to have symptoms, digestive system symptoms over the holidays. I'll keep saying systems. I don't know why. Whole grains would be another one. So whole grain bread, brown rice, things like that can really help. That has that fiber and things like that. And then trying to make things as low sodium and flavor them with other things like herbs and spices and stuff. Again, this isn't an all or nothing. You don't only have to focus on things in the green box and eliminate stuff in the white. It's really about balance and what helps you feel good, right? Dairy is another big one, right? Our high lactose foods, a lot of people are lactose intolerant. Lactose is highest in these creamy foods, ice cream, milk, cream, whipped cream, soft cheeses, things like that. Our low lactose foods are things where lactose has been fermented out or has been just aged out. So that's going to be our hard cheeses, like our cheddars and our Goudas and stuff like that. Yogurt is another one's actually very low in lactose. And then baked goods where the milk is actually baked in. That also doesn't have lactose. You can also think about dairy-free alternatives if you're really, really lactose intolerant. Like, for example, whipped cream. That always bothers me and my husband too. There is coconut milk whipped cream. Boom. It tastes great. I like the taste of coconut personally. And then you're not having to deal with that bloating and that indigestion and gas from the lactose. So there are a lot more dairy-free alternatives out there. So that can make someone dealing with lactose intolerance. There's even lactate eggnog, for God's sake. You can have some eggnog without having to get bloated. Pretty awesome. All right. And then we have FODMAPs. More and more people are hearing about these. These are short chain carbohydrates. So carbohydrates are a long chain of carbon atoms. These are short chain. So these are short carbohydrates, almost like sugars, complex sugars. They're not fully absorbed in the intestines in people with IBS. People with IBS have trouble digesting these, right? So this can cause the bloating, gassiness, other symptoms of GI distress, right? And the FODMAP stands for all of them, the fermentable oligosaccharides, disaccharides, monosaccharides, and polyols, okay? Examples are here in the green box: apples, artificial sweeteners, onions, garlic. What you might notice is these are a lot of healthy foods. This is why you don't want to just all of a sudden eliminate FODMAPs. They are not unhealthy foods. Your gut may not tolerate these as well as someone else's, and there's a protocol to follow. That's why you should always work with a dietitian or someone, or like a doctor, a GI doctor or something like that when you do this, because again, these are all very healthy foods. We don't want to just indiscriminately eliminate them. And what often happens with a FODMAPs diet is it's elimination and then adding them back into the diet. So there's a whole protocol. There is actually lots of research on this. But again, nothing we just do on a whim. This takes planning and lots of consideration. Okay, so how do we get a healthy gut? We've already talked about some things, but prebiotics and probiotics, I mentioned them briefly before. Prebiotics are what feed the good guys in our gut. Probiotics are just putting more good guys into our gut. So prebiotics are things like whole wheat, bananas, garlic, onions, soybeans, anything with fiber. Okay, so any fiber-rich food, fruit, vegetable, whole grain, that's going to really help proliferate that good bacteria. Probiotics are things that have the bacteria in it. So you'll see probiotic supplements. Again, the research is spotty. We don't know exactly what probiotics you in particular need, and it's hard to find out without being involved in some cutting-edge research. So outside of specific conditions where there are specific strains that can benefit people, eating things like fermented foods, yogurt with live cultures, Activia has been around forever. Certain aged cheeses, kefir, kimchi, sauerkraut, miso, those are all fermented foods that are awesome to include in your diet and can really help build up your stable of good guys in your gut. Lifestyle can also make a difference. Stress relief and self-care honestly can go a long way. Again, that gut-brain connection, exercise, and working with a dietitian. Of course, if I can put in a plug for ourselves, that really helps too, because we like to look at the whole person. Okay, what's going on? How can we improve your health overall? FoodSmart actually does also have a gut health program. It is based on an elimination diet. It's at 12 weeks. There's weekly discussion topics. You have access to the FoodSmart app and can be customized for people with specific GI conditions. Again, there's that gut health code to be entered to win that Walmart gift card. Okay, so like I said, that was a really, really basic overview. I want to hear your questions. We have a few minutes for questions. Again, there's been lots of questions and comments. So I don't know what I'll be able to see here. And so I'm going to first go to the Q&A section. Are Brussels sprouts bad for your gut? No, they're actually really good for your gut. They contain a lot of prebiotics. If you have IBS and you're doing a FODMAPs type elimination, you may have to eliminate them temporarily to see if they are the source of your symptoms. But in general, they are really awesome for your gut. I love promoting Brussels sprouts and beans. That's like my dietitian thing. Can overuse of antacids adversely affect gut flora and also proton pump inhibitors? So I know PPIs are the proton pump inhibitors should not be used long term. They can affect certain things in the gut, especially because it inhibits stomach acid, and also can affect other bodily systems that use that type of mechanism. So that's something you would discuss with your doctor. Antacids, not necessarily because they're really just calcium, but if you're having to use that much, that might be something to discuss further. Okay, why is your reflux that bad even with the use of these medications? So I know that's not the best answer. I don't know specifically whether they affect the gut flora. They are upper GI things, so probably not, I would say, but I can't say that for 100% certain. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to go back and forth between the chat and the Q&A because we have questions coming in on both. I'm going to do a couple questions from the Q&A or from the chat, and then I'll go back to the Q&A. I wish I could answer everyone's questions. I'm so sorry if I can't. What if your diet is all on the FODMAP guide? I literally only eat cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, broccoli, onion, and garlic. Is there a way to block the bloating without having to change the diet? Again, the FODMAPs thing is a targeted elimination, and it is a temporary elimination. So what you do is you eliminate the FODMAPs and add each of them back in to see how symptoms recur. So again, it is not a total, you can never eat these foods again, or you will always stay bloated or nauseous or whatever the case may be. It's working with a professional to kind of see what needs to be eliminated and what can be added back in and when you do those things. And then that was a comment. Okay, I'm going to go back to the Q&A. Okay, how can I plan meals that are good for my sister who has stomach ulcers? So stomach ulcers are essentially an injury to the stomach. The same things that aggravate reflux, so high acid foods like tomatoes, chocolate, coffee, things like that can aggravate a stomach ulcer. Stress can actually aggravate a stomach ulcer. It's usually managed with medication and things like that. Ask your sister though, what bothers her the most, what seems to really trigger some of the pain, and work around that. But it can be individual for each person. I work with lots of people with reflux and they all have different symptoms. I have lactose issues, but I can tolerate heavy cream in my coffee. Why? It's all load. If you're only putting a little cream in your coffee, then it might not be enough of a lactose load to cause problems. Simple as that. It's just, the dose makes the poison, essentially. Should we take fiber supplements daily for gut health? Only if it's indicated, if you're not getting enough fiber in your diet. But I always like to encourage people to look at their diet. If we're wanting somewhere in the ballpark of 25 to 30 grams a day of fiber, it's even a little bit more for men. If you're not careful, it's easy to fall short on that diet wise. So really looking at your diet overall and seeing where you can add that fiber in, slowly increasing it. We never want to put in a ton of fiber at once. That can cause gas and bloating and things like that. And drinking lots of water, and then seeing if you're still continuing to have problems, if you're having problems with constipation and things like that. All right, I am going to answer 3 more questions. And again, I'm so sorry if I can't get to everyone's questions. Do loose grains like sorghum and millet, do you lose grains like sorghum and millet if gluten-free? I'm not sure. I'm so sorry. I'm not sure what that means.
Teresa.
Yes.
I saw an awesome one that I think
thank you.
holidays. I tried to chat it to you directly. How does alcohol affect your gut? Everyone has the special punches and wine and champagne. So does that affect your gut during the holidays?
Yes, it certainly can. It certainly can. Again, everyone's going to be different, but that can certainly cause anything from immediate symptoms to, it can cause some gas and bloating in some people, hangover style nausea. I mean, that's still part of your gut, right? But it could potentially affect your gut flora, your healthy bacteria as well. So the answer isn't going to be the same for everyone, but that's actually a great question. I'm glad you spotted that one, Lisa. And then let's see, is coffee bad for your gut? Can I drink decaf instead? So coffee is acidic. Otherwise, we don't have evidence that it's really going to affect your gut. If you have reflux, it might bother you, but otherwise, coffee has a lot of health benefits. What you add to it could make a difference. But you don't need to go decaf unless you notice a significant uptick in heartburn or something like that. Okay, and I'm going to answer one more. Lisa or Claire, did you come across any interesting ones for a final question?
That one was my big one that I saw.
Okay.
Perhaps it spoke to me. personally.
Okay. So someone did ask, is it enough to completely substitute whole grains for refined in dishes such as mac and cheese or bread, or do we also need to cut back on them? That's going to depend on your goals. In terms of gut health, the whole grains are great, absolutely. Now, for example, mac and cheese, if you're substituting a whole grain macaroni, great. But then is the cheese also bothering you? So we have to kind of separate these foods for other goals, maybe for weight loss or diabetes management, and gut health, which is our topic today. And sometimes those can actually compete a little bit, as we saw with FODMAPs, including a lot of really healthy foods. I am so sorry I couldn't get to all these questions. These were amazing questions, and I would love to stay here all day and answer the ones that I can. But I hope this was useful for everyone. Again, a recording is going to be available. If you want to see one of us, definitely use that code GUTHEALTH. But it was wonderful to present to you guys, and I hope everyone has a great holiday season.